Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Global Fleet Summit, the virtual edition. In this session, I'm going to answer the question how to achieve a sustainable fleet wherever EV is not an option. My name is Steven Schroefs, and I'm the head of strategic relations at Global Fleet. First, we need to acknowledge that the transition to electric is not an easy one, for sure not on a global level. Many companies still today are somehow struggling with either the vehicle selection, the EV charging, the purchasing and lease cost of electric vehicles, or the stakeholder management and change management. But let's not forget, difficult is not impossible. So let me start with pointing out a couple of elements that could slow down the EV transition in some countries, but are not the real EV problems. First, there is the adoption readiness. Company car drivers are still not super keen on driving electric because they are sometimes worried about range or about finding the right EV charging infrastructure. Now, the reality is that in many countries, battery electric vehicles or BEVs are totally fine, but of course, it requires change in behavior. Next, I would like to point out that today's situation where BEVs are indeed mostly expensive vehicles, that will change quickly. From a TCO perspective, BEVs are already cheaper than their ICE counterparts in an increasing number of countries, and there will only be more affordable and also smaller BEVs on our market. And finally, BEVs are the most efficient when and where clean energy is available. Here as well, your company can find a solution such as using solar or wind energy. For example, take me. I'm based in Belgium where the sun does not shine often, but wind is plentiful. Renewable energy is becoming more available than ever before. We just need to give access to it. Now, let's see what can be done if there is no real option to drive electric. So, here is what I call a sustainability toolbox. As we know, it's often better not to put all eggs in one basket. The idea is that you pick the best tools out of this toolbox, those tools that fit best with the profile of your organization and your company drivers. So let's start with the best way to reduce emissions, and that is a very simple one. It's to drive less, to minimize where possible the mileage that can be driven with an ICE vehicle. Instead, you could propose mobility solutions or alternative modes of transportation. And another suggestion is to make sure that people have to drive less far to get to the office or not to drive at all by encouraging working from home. People can also learn to drive in a more sustainable way. There are plenty of trainings and also monitoring tools available to implement a greener way of driving. Next, it stays important to provide access to renewable energy, as already discussed, not only for transportation, but for business efficiency overall. Therefore, considering investments in solar panels or wind turbines is always a good plan for companies that have some real estate available. We talked about BEVs already. In some cases, hybrids are a great solution, especially in countries where electricity is generated with coal or gas. They are usually much more affordable than BEVs and also easier to implement. Now, also here with hybrid vehicles, you need to pay attention to one, driver training, and two, vehicle policy clarity. Our next recommendation is to report your emissions correctly. It will allow you and your organization to find out where exactly you need to improve and where to take measures. And don't forget, this might be a bit controversial. You can reduce your emissions identifying private mileage because private use of company cars doesn't need to be reported at this stage. And finally, ladies and gentlemen, there's of course the option of carbon offsetting. It is still not 100% regulated or recognized, but regulation is on the way. Offsetting should, however, not be an excuse for not doing anything, but we anticipate that it will be and stay part of the toolbox for another couple of years to come. So, ladies and gentlemen, I hope that you can make progress in achieving a more sustainable fleet, even in regions and countries where EV is not a true option. Thank you again for your attention, and I wish to meet with you again in an upcoming initiative of Global Fleet. Thank you.